for you to cite at the end of your essays and paragraphs. And so while LSU's code of conduct does not specifically mention the use of AI, as you probably know, plagiarism generally super frowned upon. Other than no elbows over the table, kind of the #1 no-no in college. And more specifically, copying from someone else or misrepresenting how your work was prepared are both also major violations of the school's rules. Which appears to be why after Livvy posted that TikTok, LSU put out a statement saying, at LSU, our professors and students are empowered to use technology for learning and pursuing the highest standards of academic integrity. However, using AI to produce work that a student then represents as one's own could result in a charge of academic misconduct as outlined in the Code of Student Conduct. But ultimately, here's what I'll say with this situation. It kind of comes down to two things. The first being kind of on a personal level, I'm fine with shortcuts in school. I used Spark Notes back in the day. I put study guides that we weren't allowed to have on tests on TI-83, stuff like that. When I look back, I try to romanticize it and think, I was working on ingenuity. But I want to throw that out there so I'm not like taking some holier than thou stance. But it is a completely different thing to advertise and profit off of a service that people are going to use to cheat. And as far as Livvy, she's young and hopefully this is like a learning experience and she doesn't see herself as like the victim of this. But secondly, I also don't want this to turn into the demonization of AI because there are beneficial and honest ways that AI can be used in an academic setting. Or things like creating research prompts or study guides. The way that I like to use it both in my personal and professional life is I'll kind of just type things out, free flow, and then I'll throw it all into ChatGPT to organize everything. But also, back to the cheating stuff, like I'm just far too paranoid. I'd be so stressed out that while it's not there right now, that eventually there will be another AI in the future that'll be able to tell if you used AI, like to a 99.9% chance of certainty. That'd be a fucking horrible way to go out. And then chocolate wars are upon us, people, and at the center of it, apparently you have Mr. Beast. With this story starting innocently enough, with Mr. Beast, of course, biggest YouTuber in the world, tweeting out, I need your help. Next time you see Feastables in Walmart and soon to be new retailers, if you could clean up the presentation and make it look better, that'd make me very happy. I'm building a team to do this routinely, just need help in the short term. With Feastables being one of Mr. Beast's many brands, and this one being a line of chocolate bars. And what we initially saw were many fans heeding the call, cleaning up the displays and responding to Mr. Beast's tweet with pictures and videos proudly showing off their work. Others, though, seeing this plea and actually going to the store and then messing up the Feastables displays. But then it got to the part where there is now a controversy. It led to Mr. Beast tweeting in a now deleted tweet. And while you're at it, if you want to maybe move some Hershey's bars and make sure Feastables has plenty of space, I wouldn't complain. And with that, we saw people taking issue for two reasons. The first is that you have one of the most public figures in the world asking his fans to mess with his competitors. And secondly, you have people questioning the timing of this because right now Hershey's is actually receiving some backlash because they included a trans woman in their advertising. Though, and this could be my bias speaking, I highly doubt that's why Mr. Beast tweeted that. Like, he's out there trying to be as brand friendly as possible. I don't think he would want to touch that controversy with a 10-foot pole. And many fans have pointed out that Mr. Beast has actually been clowning on Hershey's as a competitor for a while now, which is also, I think, why a lot of people were just kind of angry about the general call to action. Right, some saying that Jimmy invented a new brand of capitalism. With tweets like, it's fascinating to watch the stage of capitalism where people are honored to do free labor for rich people that don't care about them because they feel some kind of connection and loyalty, like a dog wanting a treat, only the treat is an imagined feeling of connection. Which I will say personally, I think that is the most negative way you can look at it. Like for me, I think the only bad part is the now deleted tweet. Even if it was a joke saying mess with the competitors, because there are going to be a lot of people that take that at face value, right? And that's kind of the promotion of destruction. But the other stuff of, hey, could you clean it up? Mr. Beast says that he is currently building a team to do this. And in general, at times it is fun to feel like you're a part of something, even if you're just a fan. Yeah, I'm an online creator, have been for like 15 years, but I've also been a fan of certain communities and a part of certain communities where I've just done stuff to feel like I was a part of it. Like Jimmy's not forcing people to do anything. He's not shaming people for not doing it. But hey, this is the Philip DeFranco Show. That's a story, some of my opinion, and I'll pass the question off to you. Whether you agree or you disagree with me, let me know what your thoughts are in those comments down below, and I'll extend this, of course, to the rest of the show. Because this isn't supposed to be just a news show, it's also a conversation. And then, Alec Murdaugh is a cold-blooded killer. That's what the jury unanimously decided with their guilty verdict in his double murder trial. And actually today, we're now seeing jurors speaking out and giving insight into their verdict. But also first, to give context to those who weren't like following every step of this, you have a guy, Murdaugh, who's the head of a century-old legal dynasty in South Carolina who's been accused and now convicted of murdering his wife Maggie and his son Paul, with the prosecution saying that his motive was to gain public sympathy and distract people away from his financial crimes. And since we last talked about this, Alec himself actually took the stand and testified, appearing to break down in tears as he described finding his dead family.
So what y'all have seen pictures of? Can I have some water?
But despite this emotional testimony, one damning piece of evidence hung over his head, and that was the Snapchat video. It's a video taken by Paul, and it puts Alec at the crime scene just minutes before the murders, contradicting his original story that he never went there, instead saying that he slept and then drove straight to his mother, with him then admitting to lying the first time he was on the stand, but trying to explain it was his drug addiction that caused him to have episodes of paranoia and distrust the police. And so with that, saying when sheriff deputies did gunshot residue tests on his hands and questioned him about the relationship to his family, he got paranoid.
I wasn't thinking clearly. I don't think I was capable of reason, and I lied about being down there, and I'm so sorry that I did. I'm sorry to my son Buster. I'm sorry to Grandma and Papa T. Sorry to both of our families. Most of all, I'm sorry to Mags and Pawpaw. I would never intentionally do anything to hurt either one of them.
But the jury absolutely didn't buy it. And in fact, you had two jurors going on the Today Show saying the video, the witness testimonies, and Alex's own testimony were the biggest factors in their decision, and adding that his tears weren't real.
No, I didn't think he was crying. He turned it on and off. Yeah, it wasn't genuine.
I just think that, we already know that he's a lawyer. He's able to be emotional with cases. He's able to be emotional with himself. He knows, like what she said, when to turn it on and off. So I think that we were kind of able to read right through that.
But also, keep in mind, those are just jurors. They don't really know how to get inside the mind of a murderer, which I guess is why we're lucky to hear from an actual expert on the matter, O.J. Simpson.
I am not qualified to really say if the guy did it or he didn't do it. But from what I've seen, do I think it's more likely that he did it? Yes. But more likely equals reasonable doubt.
But for now, that's where we are because, this situation's not technically over. Alec has now been sentenced to life without parole, but his defense is appealing the conviction, arguing there that the judge was just too permissive in allowing evidence of his past financial crimes to enter the case. But here's the thing, even if that succeeded, Alec's still facing almost 100 charges on those very crimes, not to mention several charges related to him paying someone to kill him so his son would get a life insurance payout. So not technically over, but yeah, it's over. He's going to die in a box. And then, for any of you focused on getting your business off the ground, creating a place to share your homemade goods, new favorite hobby, current obsession, or even a personal blog to get all those thoughts out of your head, I've got a great solution for you thanks to the fantastic sponsor of today's show, Squarespace. I've been partnering with Squarespace for years now, and I have to say, it's just so easy. There's nothing to install, patch, or upgrade ever, and creating a beautiful website with Squarespace's all-in-one platform has never been so simple. It's incredibly intuitive and easy to use. Plus, with their mobile-optimized websites, your content automatically adjusts so it looks great on any device. Plus, with Squarespace, you get access to all their marketing tools and analytics, and their award-winning customer care team via email or live chat 24/7. So go check it out, see why so many others love it, see why you're gonna love it, and start your free trial today over at squarespace.com/Phil. And when you realize you made the right choice, make sure you enter an offer code Phil to get 10% off your first purchase. And then, if you're being accused of wanting a genocide, there is at least a decent chance that what you're talking about is at the very least completely fucked up. And I say that because while we saw many speakers at the Conservative Political Action Conference, or CPAC, over the weekend, one in particular made headlines. With that being the Daily Wire's Michael Knowles, and I'll just let you listen to what's causing so much uproar.
There can be no middle way in dealing with transgenderism. It is all or nothing. If it is false, then for the good of society, and especially for the good of the poor people who have fallen prey to this confusion, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely. The whole preposterous ideology at every level.
So you had a lot of people seeing that and going, damn, that sounds downright genocidal. With trans activist Erin Reed writing, they are dehumanizing us, a necessary step to bringing about that elimination. But with this, Knowles argues that he can't possibly be genocidal because in his view, transgender people don't even exist. Or the argument is that it's just a delusion, so there are no transgender people to commit genocide against. This despite every credible medical organization agreeing that transgender people are real and gender-affirming care is effective. But the thing is, conservatives are going to keep pounding on this drum because it's a winning issue for them. Right? I mean that, yes, with talking points, but also legislation. You may not know this, but this year we've seen the biggest onslaught against LGBTQ people yet, with over 350 anti-trans bills being introduced in at least 36 states as of last month. That's double what we saw last year, and we're only a couple of months in. And then, violent protests are continuing in the battle over Atlanta's so-called Cop City. So we last talked about this on the show back in January. But for some quick key background here, there have been ongoing demonstrations against the construction of a $90 million, 85-acre police training facility, aka Cop City, with many of the activists fighting against this project being environmentalists who want the woods where the campus is being built, which is one of the most significant green spaces in the region, to be preserved, with also others protesting against the site over concerns that it will encourage militarizing policing and police forces. According to reports, groups who oppose the complex began organizing after it was authorized by the Atlanta City Council back in 2021, but the protests and tensions between demonstrators and police have really escalated in recent months, especially after a 26-year-old activist was killed by the authorities. Now there, police say that the activist actually opened fire first and injured a state trooper, but some protesters have called for an independent investigation. But all of that brings us to yesterday where we saw the latest standoff, which was the second day of a planned week-long protest against the complex. But in a press release, the Atlanta Police Department claimed that things escalated when, quote, a group of violent agitators used the cover of a peaceful protest to conduct a coordinated attack on construction equipment and police officers. According to the police, the agitators changed into black clothing and entered the construction area and began to throw large rocks, bricks, Molotov cocktails, and fireworks at police officers, and adding that the agitators destroyed multiple pieces of construction equipment by fire and vandalism. Right now, it's unclear if anyone was injured, though the department implied that no officers were hurt, saying in a statement that the illegal actions of the agitators